Joining us now is House Minority Whip Eric Cantor. Savannah accidentally called you House Majority Whip. I assume that is the job you are aspiring to.
Wait, I caught it.
No. And it was sort of, I'm sure you heard that and said, well, no. That'll be the correct title soon enough. Look, he threw out a lot of, I would say, Republican ideas individually that you guys could support. Offshore oil drilling, very important. Bob McDonnell mentioned it, your governor. I heard nuclear power plants, getting rid of cap gains for some small businesses. Was that enough? Did you hear enough to say, okay, I'll support you on those items, but I can't do this?
Chuck, when you take the speech in total last night, I think the president missed an opportunity to really respond to the American people. I mean, we've seen over the last several months in Virginia, New Jersey, and then Massachusetts last week that the public just doesn't like the agenda that this administration's about. And so when you hear the president doubling down on health care, when you hear him defend the stimulus bill, when you hear him start blaming Republicans
who in the House,
who in the House has 178 bills. I mean, you have to sort of begin to wonder, how is it that any president or administration can discount public opinion like this?
But setting that aside, Chuck just named a few things that are Republican articles of faith. I mean, why, setting aside the differences you have, are you willing to work with him on these things that Republicans have traditionally supported? And if not, why not?
We've continuously been willing to work with him since January in the stimulus bill. You know, I've handed him a stimulus proposal. I've handed him our Republican no-cost jobs proposal. And for the president to say, oh, you know, Republicans are just voting no out of political expediency, he knows that's not right. I support more clean nuclear plants. Republicans support offshore drilling, but we don't support a cap-and-trade bill, which he then followed up after he said he was for clean coal. There's a lot of inconsistency.
But let's go to this here. You know, the criticism I hear from Democrats is, okay, look, he's throwing out these things to you. Here's your quarter loaf, half a loaf, whatever you want to call it. But it seems that you'll only support that if what Democrats want is not in there. Isn't at the end of the day legislating going, okay, you know what, I'm not going to get 100% of what I want, but I'm getting this, so that's a trade-off. I'll take some form of cap and trade, how you want to describe it. I'll take some form of it if I'm also getting nuclear energy, offshore oil drilling. Well, isn't that the nature of legislating?
Yeah, I think what we missed last night is a single focus from this speech. Where we've got to go is jobs. The president put the words there. He said his priority is going to be jobs, but you can't sort of square that with this proposal for cap and trade. And that's the point.
Well, wait a minute. We've got to do cap and trade separately. Let's say there's a jobs bill. It has these tax cuts, the tax cut for capital gains. It's got the small business breaks. Are you prepared to support that?
Absolutely. These are extensions of existing law. We've always supported that.
So you're with him on that?
Absolutely. But what we're not with him on is the creation and expansion of more government programs. When he goes and says, hey, you know what? We ought to take the TARP money, and we ought to take that money, tax the banks, and use it to give it to small business. First of all, TARP was always something that was meant to be paid back to taxpayers. So how is it? We ought to refocus the debate here. How are we going to help the job creators? That's the bottom line.
Isn't this proposal, I understand on the issue of TARP, but isn't that proposal saying, here's some money to small business so you guys can invest and create jobs? It's supposed to help the loan.
The distinction here is, Chuck, over 90% of small businesses never have had an SBA loan, and most don't want it because of the red tape dealing with the government. The real problem with small business growth right now is availability of credit. How do you square that with the president then saying we're going to tax the banks? The two are just inconsistent.
Congressman, before I let you go, let me play you what the president said about bipartisanship and the tone in Washington and ask you to react to it.
We cut taxes for 95% of working families. We cut taxes for small businesses. We cut taxes for first-time home buyers. We cut taxes for parents trying to... What frustrates the American people is a Washington where every day is election day. We can't wage a perpetual campaign where the only goal is to see who can get the most embarrassing headlines about the other side. A belief that if you lose, I win.
Sir, look inward. Does that not ring true of both parties, yourself included?
Savannah, there's enough blame to go around with anybody, sure.
Does that appeal to you at all? Hey, let's change a little bit. Let's meet in the middle.
Absolutely, but remember, the minority has every reason in the world to be bipartisan. When you have one party in control, it is they that really need to say, okay, listen, we're going to go and meet the other side halfway. But where the people are, it's not just the conduct that turns people off, it's the policies now. It is the policies and agenda that turn the elections in the 3 states that we've seen in the last couple of months. That's where I think the disconnect continues to be.
Very quickly, in 2010, if you don't win back the majority at this point, because of where your poll standing is, if you don't win back the majority, is that a disappointment to you?
Well, sure, because I think what the American people really want now and where the ire is, it's in the policies and the lack of results.
So you're running for the majority.
So, absolutely.
6 months ago, it wasn't the case.
No, Chuck, I think if you check the record, I had said in the very beginning that we can take back the majority.
That's true, you did. Some of your colleagues did not. Yeah.
Because I think that the American people like divided government. They want to check and balance on one-party rule, and especially given the agenda that this party has been pursuing.
Congressman Eric Cantor, minority whip, but not for long if you get your way. We really appreciate you being here.
Make him do the trivia question. This will be interesting.
Oh, okay, yeah, we do like to put our guests on the spot. Here's our trivia question. How many House districts represented by Republicans did Obama win in 2008?
We'll let you get there within 2 districts.
I want to say 18.
Oh, wow, no.
34.
Almost
34.
double that.
That's all right, because I already had my mistake, which we've now repeated 3 times.
That's right.
Fair
Thanks
square.
very
Thanks
much.
so much for your
Thank
time.
you.
Appreciate it.
Coming up was last